Recently, jagex made some major changes to runecrafting and is skilling offhand the Runic Attuner. These changes included the removal of the Abyss runecrafting XP buff and the Demonic Skull XP buff, which has just been reworked to be built into the runecrafting skill. This change is great. It now opens up the option to use regular teleports to altars instead of always using the Abyss. These changes are pretty drastic, and for the focus of this video, I wanted to see just how impactful they will be, especially with the Runic Attuner. So the Runic Attuner did receive a buff. Some of the changes include the Runic Attuner now moving the player close to their attuned altar when entering the Abyss, which will be speeding up runecrafting runs through the Abyss quite a bit. It also now linearly boosts the chance to attune to higher level altars with every charge rather than at 20 and 40 charges, and most importantly, it now attunes to any altar every 7 charges, allowing the player to go to an altar of their choice. This is a huge change since now you can always use the soul altar for the final charge on the Runic Attuner, which gives a 2,200% XP buff, or around 600,000 XP on the fully charged soul altar. I spent this past week testing out the Runic Attuner to figure out just how good it is, and I tested 3 different methods. Before we look at the methods, let's look at the preset that I used for each method. First, I had a filled expansive pouch along with the elemental anima stones and the catalytic anima stones. I did bring a crystal binding rod for the extra 5% additional runes with the wild runes perk, and then Wise 3 for a little bit more XP, the power burst of sorcery so I could craft double runes, and of course just filled the inventory with pure essence. I did bring the affinity ethereal outfit and filled the body with some additional pure essence. And after that, the other notable items is the Wilderness Sword 4. Wilderness Sword 1 works, it's really just a teleport to Edgeville. The Runic Attuner, of course, and I did bring a Ring of Imbuing for an extra 10% runes. After that, you'll want the Abyssal Titan and just fill that up with as many pure essence as it could hold. It is also very useful to use some keybinds. So for example, I had the Power Burst of Sorcery on a keybind along with the Crystal Binding Rod and the Wilderness Sword. And the Infinity Ethereal Head can be useful. It's basically a Wicked Hood, so you can teleport to different altars with it. I would sometimes use it for the Soul Rune altar since you need to charge that up, and you'll just be there for over a minute charging it, so the Wicked Hood debuff doesn't count at that point. The Wilderness Sword is nice because you can teleport directly to Edgeville with it, and then I would just swap to the Crystal Binding Rod with its keybind whenever I am at the altar to actually craft the runes. So that is the setup. Let's go over the 3 different methods. Method 1 that I tested out was to fully charge the soul altar whenever I got it, and go to the soul altar and fully charge it for every choice altar, so every 7th run essentially. The soul altar gives you the most XP per altar, but it also takes the longest because you have to charge it, which will take about 10 minutes of time, not counting the teleports back and forth to get more pure essence. The nice thing about this method is it does make it more AFK, because when you're at the soul altar, you'll be AFK for about 2.5 minutes every time before you have to go get more pure essence. And so it does have a pretty good balance of active skilling versus AFK skilling. You will be going to a bunch of random altars in between, but on your 7th run, you'll go to that soul altar, spend your 2.5 minutes to charge the altar before going back and getting more pure essence to charge it 3 more times. So it does have that good balance, and of course you are going to get your 140k XP drop whenever you do this, so that is also really nice. So if you are looking for a more AFK method, then this is probably the method for you. When testing this method, my Runic Attuner attuned to the Soul Altar 6 times, plus I did 7 Soul Altar runs for the any altar choice, meaning I actually went here 13 times in the 50 runs to make Soul Altars with it fully charged. So it was fairly AFK, but the downside is it took a very long time to complete a full run of 50 altars. It actually took me just over 3 hours to complete the 50 runs and get my 600k XP drop at the Soul Altar. After the 3 hours, I totaled up the XP gained as well as the GP gained, and it was actually the worst of the 3 methods that I ended up testing. Although the XP gained was 2.6 million XP. I did have bonus XP on Runecrafting, and because of the way it works and the different bonuses you get, bonus XP actually only gains you between 17 to 19% additional XP. So less the bonus XP, I gained nearly 2.2 million XP, and if we were to convert this to a per hour number, it's just over 700,000 Runecrafting XP per hour. For the GP earned, I made about 24.5 million GP after cost, so that is profit. And if you were to convert this to an hourly number, it's very low at right around 8.2 million GP per hour. Since the main downside was how much time it was taking to charge the Soul Altar, method number 2 is using the Time Altar for every 7th run when the Runic Attuner is attuned to any altar, plus only doing 25% charge at the Soul Altar when I get it, basically meaning I'm doing 1 cycle or 1 trip to the Soul Altar, fully charging it just the once, and then making my runes. So I still get about 35k XP every time I go to the Soul Altar, so still pretty good XP, but it's not that 160k XP that I would get if it was fully charged. But the benefit is it's much quicker to complete the 50 runs and get that massive XP boost at the end. In fact, it only took about 48 minutes and 40 seconds to complete the full 50 altar runs, and finishing off with that fully charged Soul Altar for 600,000 XP. The XP on this run was still pretty good despite not using the Soul Altar as often. I gained just over 1 million XP for the full run. Again, this is including bonus XP. If you subtract the bonus XP, around 870k. And since it only took about 48.5 minutes, the XP per hour is right around 1.08 million XP per hour. The GP gained was also much better. We did gain around 21 million GP of profit, but again, it only took the 48 minutes, so this is about 26 million GP per hour. Method 3 was very similar to Method 2, except I wanted to try and speed things up even further by only doing 1 single charge per Soul Altar run. We're still going to be doing the Time Altar every 7th run when we get to choose the rune of our choice, but for the Soul Altar, it's going to be speeding things up quite a bit. In Method 2, it took about 2.5 minutes to fully charge the Soul Altar. If you're only doing 1 charge, it literally will take 5 seconds, and so the time should be much faster. We'll gain a little bit less XP, but the XP per hour should end up being a little bit better. One thing that could even speed this run up even further is every 7th run, instead of doing the Time Altar, you could do the Nature Altar, since you teleport right next to the Nature entrance rather than having to run to the other side of the abyss for the Time Altar. So that is one option to speed it up even further, although that wasn't tested. So with Method 3, it was actually much faster. It took about 35 minutes to complete the full 50 runs. Now, part of this was probably me paying a little bit more attention, being a little bit more comfortable with the method since it was the 3rd one I tried, and so there was a little bit of time shaved off because of that, but most of it being just that 1 charge on the Soul Altar. So I did do this in the 35 minutes. The XP gained was just over 1 million XP with bonus XP. Without bonus XP, around 813,000, which makes the per hour rate actually the best of the 3 methods at just under 1.4 million Runecrafting XP per hour. The GP gained was right around 15 million, although I did get very unlucky with the magical thread. But the GP per hour for this was around 26 million. I do think it's probably on average much higher than this, just because I did get really unlucky, only getting, I believe, 16 magical thread. So overall, it does look like doing the faster runs, completing the 50 runs as fast as possible, is the best way to do this method. It may even be possible to improve upon this a little bit by going to the nature altar instead of the time altar, like I said earlier, to potentially speed up the run a little bit more. Overall, this Runecrafting and Runic Attuner change is absolutely massive. It does look like the Runic Attuner is the best Runecrafting XP in the game, and I think this is absolutely great. It is so much more fun than going to the exact same altar every time. It's nice having that variability, and if you want, you can choose to charge up the soul altar a little bit more. You will get less XP per hour, but it does make the method a little bit more AFK, so there is that trade-off there as well, which is really nice. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.